So Bitcoin is still hovering around $30,000. Seems to have formed a really, really strong base, right? Little volatility. There's no falling back to 28 or 26. No, it's just solid at 30,000. And why is that? Well, obviously, the BlackRock spot ETF kind of changed the narrative recently. But also, if you're looking at some of these things, for example, traders like to put on puts if they feel like, hey, there may be a downward movement coming. That's not the case. That's not the case. Also, the strength in margins and options in the futures market because of the spot Bitcoin ETF. And also, let's keep in mind, we do have the futures ETF and options. They're all showing pretty good volume strength within all of these. So if you're looking at confirmation, right, if you're looking at for specific reasons why Bitcoin is so strong, it's mostly because of the optimism and enthusiasm of what's coming, seeing how the big institutions are now all FOMOing into Bitcoin, right? That has not changed. And it's only going to get stronger. But if you're looking at, if you're trying to look at the finer print, the smaller details, right, of what people really think besides the growing fundamentals and on-chain metrics, if you're looking at what these traders do to kind of hedge themselves against a fall, well, they're not doing it right now. So it just seems like there's just no bears left, really. There's no bears left. No one that thinks that, yeah, we're going to fall back to previous lows and make a new low. People are getting bullish. That's quite simply it. That's why Bitcoin is so strong at $30,000 and will only build from here. Now, this is what I use in my thumbnail. This is this textbook pattern. It's called Wyckoff method. Okay? This has been used for hundreds of years. I don't know about hundreds, but it's been used a long time in the stock market. Okay? And this is what the whales do short term to accumulate more and to drive out everyone else. This is what those pesky traders do to scare everyone so that they can accumulate as much as possible before it starts running, right? And you look at this Wyckoff pattern and you look at Bitcoin's pattern, I mean, it's so similar. It's following almost the pattern to a T, okay? Now, I think the downfall was maybe a little bit extended because of FTX and, some of the Black Swan stuff that happened in 2022, but you could see, wow, that's almost identical. But here's the good news. This is why this will shock people, because after the accumulation is done, and that's when Bitcoin was below 20,000, hovering 16, 17. Remember those days? I think a lot of you guys still remember. And I told you guys those were the days to be really bullish, to be DCAing, right? To accumulate as much as possible, because we may never, ever see those levels again, right? That's exactly what the whales did. And now we are breaking above. And if this continues, if there was a continuation of this Wyckoff method, it would show you a pretty good recovery from here on out, right? And many other charts and metrics also show this. But what this also confirms is that the accumulation of the whales is over, okay? This manipulation that they've been trying to put on, it may be over. And this correlates with the fact that we're coming out of crypto winter and we're starting the next bull run, right? So it kind of all plays together. Yeah. So other confirmations about us entering bull run. If you look at this MACD histogram, and this is on a monthly scale, we have just come out of red, and we formed the very first green. candle. And you could see that the last time this happened, Bitcoin went up 628%. It didn't happen right away. It took a while, but that's what happened. Okay, so what does that mean? If we follow the same kind of trajectory, starting from here, and we go up 600 something percent, well, that's going to put Bitcoin in the 200,000 range. Okay, and maybe even further than that. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things to be bullish about. So many things to be bullish about these days, by the way, in case you can't see that. I mean, this is the monthly scale, so to have a reversal like that, right, to go into red and then slowly come up from there and then turn green does not happen very often. It takes years for that to happen. Also, more confirmation. This is from Plan B. You could see, well, that's according to pattern, right? There's no doubt we have stopped and come out of this last crypto winter, and we are in the next bull run. And this confirms it, right? It's pretty obvious. Color-coded. The red is usually bearish, very bearish capitulation. Blue is recovery. And then green is what I like to refer to as the parabolic run. And that hasn't come yet. Usually after the halving event, but who knows? Maybe it starts early this time around. Maybe it could start at the end of the year rather than, next April or May. It could happen with all the optimism and enthusiasm that's happening right now. We could see a lot more money flowing into the space a lot sooner than expected. In fact, this week, I covered an article from Bank of America that says there's about $8 trillion on the sidelines. $8 trillion on the sidelines. Okay, imagine if just even 1 trillion flows into the market, what it would do. But here's another interesting thing. Number of depositing addresses, into the exchanges is falling like a rock. Because who's trying to sell right now, right? Like, who is trying to deposit and sell? Very, very little people. No one wants to sell because they know what's coming. And what's coming? Well, according to ARK Invest, this is not this cycle. This is projected out to 2030. Okay, so 2 cycles. Or actually, the next cycle after this one that we're in. I mean, the most bearish case by 2030 is 260,000. That's the most bearish case. Average case, 682,000. That's when Bitcoin will equal the market cap or be close to the market cap of gold, around 12 to 13 trillion. Okay? And in the bull scenario, which I like, Bitcoin could be as high as 1.5 million each, okay? Not your entire portfolio, each by 2030. That's only 7 years if you think about it. That's only 7 years. So, do you want to wait for that? Do you want to wait 7 years for 1.5 million each? I do. This is why it's important to be accumulating and DCAing now while things are cheap versus what's going to happen in the future, right? So, still, all good things happening right now with Bitcoin.